Ladies and gentlemen, friends and seekers of truth, there comes a time in every life when the noise quiets down, when the distractions of the day fade into silence, and it's in that silence that we hear the deeper questions whisper. What happens to your soul? It's a question no one escapes. Not the wealthy, not the poor, not the young nor the old. It is life's greatest mystery and life's greatest certainty. You see, the soul is not a concept. It is the essence of who you are. It is the eternal fingerprint of your Creator upon your being. You are not just flesh and blood. You are spirit. You are soul. And the truth is, your soul will outlive your body. But where does it go? What becomes of it? Some say nothing happens, dust to dust, end of story. But deep within you know better. You feel it when you look at the stars. You feel it when you mourn a loved one. You feel it when you look in the mirror and wonder, is there more? And yes, there is more. When your final breath escapes your lips, your soul steps into eternity. And in that moment, all the things you clung to, money, fame, pride, will vanish like smoke in the wind. What will matter is what you built in the unseen, what you believed, who you trusted. You were made for more than this world. And the aching in your chest, the searching in your heart, it's your soul remembering its home. So I ask you today, not just as a speaker, but as someone who has stood on the edge of this question. Are you ready? Because what happens to your soul is not a mystery to the one who made it. The soul is the essence of who we are. It's not something we merely possess. It is us. It's the part of you that thinks, feels, hopes, dreams, and yearns. Long after the body tires and fades, the soul endures. You can dress the body in fine clothes, train the mind with knowledge, and chase after every desire, but none of it reaches as deep as the soul. The soul is where your truest self lives. It's where your convictions are formed, where love is born, and where peace or torment takes root. It's not bound by the visible world, and it's not defined by the roles you play or the things you achieve. The world sees your job title, your appearance, your accomplishments, but your soul holds the truth of who you really are. And deep down, you know it's there. You felt it stirring in quiet moments, in late-night thoughts, in times of heartbreak or wonder. You've sensed it when you felt out of place in a world that often feels shallow. You've heard its quiet voice when the noise of life faded, just long enough for you to listen. This soul is not shaped by the hands of man. It is not accidental. It was formed before you ever took a breath, and it carries a weight that goes beyond biology or fate. It's the invisible, eternal part of you, set apart from the material, reaching towards something greater than what eyes can see. The soul is what makes you ache for meaning. It's why no amount of success ever fully satisfies. It's why comfort can still feel empty, and why pleasure can still leave you searching. Because the soul knows what the world forgets, that we were made for more than this. You said, everyone faces the question regardless of age, background, or belief. ChatGPT said, absolutely. Here's how we can expand that point in the same deep, reflective tone. Everyone faces the question regardless of age, background, or belief. No one escapes it. It doesn't matter if you're a child marveling at the stars, a teenager wrestling with identity, or an elder looking back on a lifetime. Sooner or later, the question comes. It comes to the rich and the poor, the believer and the skeptic. It doesn't knock politely. It arrives in a hospital room, at a graveside, in a quiet moment of solitude when the world stops spinning for just a second. And in that second, something inside whispers. What happens when all this is over? What becomes of me, of my soul? This question doesn't discriminate. It isn't confined by culture, religion, or education. You can bury it in work, drown it in entertainment, numb it with distraction. But it always finds a way back. Why? Because it's not just a question of curiosity. It's a question of eternity, and eternity is written on every human heart. So the question stands not to accuse, not to frighten, but to awaken. Because the most dangerous thing isn't that people reject the truth. It's that they never stop long enough to ask the question. Want me to continue unpacking each of the 10 points this way? We can build out a full message or shape it into a video voiceover script too. You said, life is temporary. The soul is eternal, ChatGPT said. Let's continue in that same rich, soul-stirring tone. Life is temporary. The soul is eternal. We live like we have forever. We plan, we build, we chase careers, goals, relationships, as if time owes us something. But deep down, we know it doesn't. The clock is always ticking. Every breath is borrowed. Every heartbeat is a gift. And one day, sooner than we expect, we'll breathe our last. The body is fragile. It grows, it aches, it ages. It rises and falls like the tide. But your soul is different. It's not subject to the same decay. It doesn't grow old. It doesn't wear out. Because it wasn't made for this world. It was made for something far beyond it. You see, we invest so much in what won't last. We polish the outside while neglecting what lies within. We chase the temporary while ignoring the eternal. But one day, the temporary will fall away like leaves in the wind, and what's left, what remains, is your soul. The real question isn't if your life will end. It's what will live on. The soul is the one part of you that steps across the threshold of time into forever. And forever is a long time to be unprepared. So while the world tells you to live for today, remember your soul. Because everything else fades, but your soul, that's forever. Would you like this next line as well? The question of the soul is universal and inescapable. I can keep building it out piece by piece. You said the question of the soul is universal and inescapable. ChatGPT said, of course. Here's that next part in the same spiritually weighty, reflective style. The question of the soul is universal and inescapable. You can run from many things in life. You can dodge responsibilities, avoid hard conversations, even ignore the signs that something's not right inside. But you can't outrun the question that echoes through every human heart. What happens to me when this is over? That question doesn't care about your passport, your bank account, your education, or your status. It follows you whether you're standing on a stage or lying awake at 2 a.m. It haunts the halls of power just as much as it lingers in quiet corners of grief. Because it was planted deep inside all of us, across cultures, languages, and lifetimes. You see, every generation has asked it. Every civilization has searched for answers. Every soul at some point feels that tug towards something beyond the physical. We sense it in wonder. We sense it in loss. We sense it when life doesn't satisfy and when death feels too final. You can silence it for a while. You can drown it in distraction, but it never truly leaves. Because it's not just a question we ask, it's a truth we carry. So don't fear the question. Let it wake you up. Let it draw you closer to the one who already holds the answer. Would you like me to keep going with the next point? We sense a deeper truth within us. This is flowing beautifully as a full-spoken message. You said, we sense a deeper truth within us, ChatGPT said. Absolutely. This next part is a powerful turning point. Here's the continuation. We sense a deeper truth within us. There's a knowing inside you that can't be taught in schools or written in textbooks. It's not the result of logic or evidence. It's older than reason and louder than doubt. It's that quiet voice that speaks when everything else goes still. A whisper that says, there's more than what you see, more than what you've achieved, more than just living, working, aging, and dying. Even in your highest moments and your deepest pain, you feel it. That pull towards something greater, towards something eternal. You feel it when you look up at the stars and wonder why you're here. You feel it when you hold a newborn child and sense the miracle of life. You feel it when you lose someone and the ache cuts deeper than words can explain. Why? Because your soul knows this world isn't home. It was made for more, a deeper truth. It's not an accident. It's not weakness. It's the imprint of eternity on your heart. A divine signature written into your very being. And ignoring it doesn't make it go away. Because your soul isn't asking for more information. It's crying out for revelation. The world may tell you that you're just matter and molecules, but your soul knows better. You were meant for something infinite. Would you like to move on to how the soul does not end at death? This message is really building a powerful momentum. You said the soul does not end at death, ChatGPT said. Absolutely. This is the moment where the message deepens and the eternal perspective sharpens. Here's the next piece. The soul does not end at death. Death feels final. but only to those who see with earthly eyes. To the body, yes, death is an ending, but to the soul, it's a doorway. You were not created for a grave. You are not formed in love only to vanish into the soil. That longing in your heart for something beyond this world, that isn't fantasy. That's eternity calling you home. When your last breath leaves your lungs, your soul does not disappear. It awakens. It steps beyond time and space into the realm of the everlasting. And in that moment, the lights of this world dim and the reality of forever begins. This truth is both beautiful and sobering. Because while death comes for all, not all are prepared for what comes after. We spend years planning for retirement, saving for the future. But how many of us prepare our soul for what's next? You see, death is not the end of your story. It's just the turning of the page. The question is, what will the next chapter say? Because the soul does not end at death, it goes on. The only question is where? Want to keep it going with earthly achievements or temporary next? This is shaping into a powerful sermon or spoken word message. You said, earthly achievements are temporary, ChatGPT said. Yes, this next part adds a vital contrast that brings the eternal into focus. Here it is. Earthly achievements are temporary. We live in a world that celebrates success. Titles, trophies, likes, status. We work, we strive, we sacrifice just to be seen, just to be remembered. But even the greatest names are eventually etched in fading stone. Time erases applause, legacy becomes history, and no earthly crown can follow you into eternity. That doesn't mean hard work is worthless or that excellence should be avoided. But it does mean this. If your soul is starving while your success is growing, you're building a kingdom that won't last. The diplomas on your wall, the numbers in your bank account, the followers on your feed, they vanish in a moment. They might impress the world, but they don't impress eternity. What lasts isn't what you earned, it's what you became. Who you loved, how you lived, whether your soul was awake or asleep. You can be a success in the eyes of everyone and still lose yourself in the process, because no amount of worldly gain can fill an eternal void. So ask yourself, am I chasing what will fade or investing in what will endure? Because the truth is simple. Earthly achievements are temporary. But your soul, that's forever. Want to roll right into the next point? There is a spiritual longing in all of us is up next, and it ties perfectly into this. You said there is a spiritual longing in all of us, ChatGPT said. Absolutely. This is where the message goes from observation to deep personal connection. Here's the next piece. There is a spiritual longing in all of us. You felt it, maybe in the quiet moments or in the middle of the chaos. That ache, that stirring, that inner sense that something's missing even when life looks so fine on the outside. You can't explain it fully, but it's there. It's why people search. It's why we climb mountains, study ancient texts, chase dreams, and sometimes fall into heartbreak trying to find what we can't quite name. We think it's purpose or peace or love. But at the core of it all, it's something more. It's a longing to be whole, to be reconnected with the source of our soul. No amount of distraction can silence it for long. Not relationships, not success, not pleasure, because what your soul is hungering for isn't found in things, it's found in truth. In meaning, in something greater than yourself. This longing isn't weakness, it's evidence. It proves there's more than this life. It's the whisper of your Creator calling you home. And the more we try to fill that spiritual emptiness with material things, the deeper the hunger becomes. The soul doesn't crave comfort, craves connection, not to stuff, but to the sacred, not to popularity, but to purpose. Because deep down, every one of us knows there must be more than this. And there is. Want to keep going into you were created with purpose and destiny? This is such a powerful build. You're almost at the closing crescendo. You said you were created with purpose and destiny. ChatGPT said, yes, this is where the message lifts, where hope rises and identity is reclaimed. Here's the next part. You were created with purpose and destiny. You are not an accident. You are not random. You are not just a collection of cells trying to survive another day. You were crafted intentionally, carefully, lovingly. Before you ever took a breath, purpose was woven into your being. You are made in the image of the eternal. That means your life matters, not because of what you do, but because of who you are. You carry divine intention in your bones, a fingerprint of glory in your soul. You are not just here, you were sent. That purpose, it's not found in comparison. It's not something the world gives you. It's already inside you, waiting to be awakened. You were made to love deeply, to walk in truth, to impact lives, and to leave a mark that echoes into eternity. And your destiny? It isn't limited by your past. It's not disqualified by your failures. If anything, your scars might be the very things that shape your calling, because the one who formed your soul doesn't just see who you are. He sees who you're becoming. So don't settle for survival when you were made for significance. Don't trade purpose for comfort. Don't forget, you were created with purpose. You were born for destiny. And your soul knows it's true. Only one final point left. And now is the time to prepare your soul, ready to bring it home. You said, now is the time to prepare your soul, ChatGPT said. Here we are, the culmination of everything, where the message lands with urgency and invitation. Here's how it wraps up. And now is the time to prepare your soul. The truth is this, you have today, tomorrow is not promised. And while you have breath in your lungs, you have the opportunity to prepare your soul for what is eternal. You can't afford to wait until the end of your life to think about the state of your soul. Too many put it off, thinking they have more time, more years, more chances, more opportunities. But the clock is always ticking, and the moments slip through our fingers like sand. You cannot delay this decision. You cannot pretend it doesn't matter. Your soul is too precious. Every choice you make today shapes your tomorrow. Every word, every action, every thought, every prayer. It's part of your soul's preparation for the eternity that waits. It's time to ask the hard questions. Time to seek, to search, to listen. And here's the good news. You're not alone in this. You don't have to figure it out by yourself. The one who created you is ready to guide you. The one who made your soul has already laid out the path to peace. Your soul was made for relationship with the Creator, with truth and with love. So don't wait. Don't let the rush of life distract you from the most important work, the work of preparing your soul for forever. Because when the temporary passes away, only your soul remains. And the time to make sure it's ready is now.